Hi everybody, welcome back to my garden. So it's been a while since I've posted a video because it's been hot and it's been humid and we haven't had any rain and there's really not much going on in the garden, although some things are starting to get ripe. So I thought I would give you a quick garden tour today and show you how things are going. So we're going to start the garden tour with the peppers. Some peppers are doing okay. You can see this. These are the pickling peppers. They're doing okay. Other peppers are just getting one or two peppers on them. Some pepper plants are getting no peppers on them. And like this one, it's got blossoms. There's like, you could see the beginnings of peppers, but there's no peppers on there. And I think these peppers here are in my raised bed. I think it's too dry. Even though they're on drip irrigation, some of them have dedicated lines going directly to them. It's just not enough water for them. So if I'm gonna do this again, have peppers in my raised beds, I'm going to end up having to get a different irrigation system in here. As you can see, flowers are doing really well, very pretty. Over here, this is calendula. Here too, beautiful. And then these peppers, these are ornamental peppers. You can see how these are loaded. They don't mind the dry conditions, the ornamentals. Zinnia is doing very well. This black pepper plant doesn't have any peppers on it at all. Of course, my marigolds are doing very well. You can see. And then I've got this ornamental pepper here. It's getting swallowed up by the flowers. Doing well. So now is about the time of the year that I come in here and I cut back all this yarrow and it'll grow back and we'll get another bloom from it in the year. But let me show you some peppers that are doing very well. So these peppers here are in these containers. These are 25-gallon containers and I have quite a few. These are poblanos. These are serranos. Again, there's a lot of peppers on there. I got jalapenos over here. All doing very well. Now these are on a completely different kind of irrigation. I have this irrigation called a dribbler and I cannot find it right now, but anyway, they're on like an irrigation that soaks it better, and this is the kind of irrigation, sorry about the wind noise, that I need to put in my raised beds if I'm going to grow something like peppers or tomatoes in the raised beds. Right next to these peppers are green beans. I've had a couple pickings of green beans already, and you can see these are haricot green beans, so they're thinner than your traditional snap beans. These are the ones I prefer. They're more tender, the pods are better. So I'm ready to have another picking of these green beans. But they're doing very well. They're also in these 25-gallon pots. They're doing very well. Here are my potatoes. As you can see, the plants are starting to die back. They're starting to turn brown. They've got some kind of fungus on them. But yeah, they're really starting to go. I'm going to empty that pot. We've got a nice sunflower here. Thank you, birds, for planting that. And I'm going to empty this one today, probably. It's really hot, but I just got to get it done. These ones are white potatoes and these ones are red potatoes. So that'll be really good. Then I'll let the rest of these just die off slowly. But I'm going to get those two harvested. In here, the kale is doing really well. I've been picking a lot of this kale, giving it away, eating it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you don't think you like kale, store-bought kale, try growing it yourself, because it is just really tender if you grow it yourself. It's not nearly as chewy. So yeah, the kale always does really well for me. These big monster plants here are supposed to be nicotiana, but there's no flowers on them. Here, this is what nicotiana looks like. So it's really kind of interesting how these are flowering differently. Let me show you my other nicotiana. This is also nicotiana. Nicotiana is, everything looks wilty because it's like 100 degrees outside. It's related to the nicotine plant. So, completely different. So in this mess is my carrots, but there's also some tomatoes growing in here. And I just let it grow. Because the carrots are bolting, they're going to seed. So I don't know if I'm going to get any carrots or not. So I'm just going to let the tomatoes go and we'll see what kind of tomatoes these are. These are tomatoes from seeds from like 3 years ago or 4 years ago that are sprouting. Either that or the birds carried them in there, which is probably the most likely scenario. So here on the ground is a zucchini squash called zucchetta. And it's like a trombolini style squash. I had to put, sorry about the wind. There's a fence up because my dogs were trampling this. But this is what the squash looks like. It's got a real long neck and then there's a bulb at the other end. And I've moved it over to the fence so it can climb up the fence. My other zucchini, they're not real big plants, which is surprising because they get plenty of water. This one I can see the water has moved. My dogs keep coming through here and knocking the water irrigation off of them because they're looking for chipmunks. I mean, look at her. Macy, get away from there. Get away from there. Good girl. So I have gotten a couple zucchinis. Some of these aren't getting pollinated. It's like we'll get a little zucchini and then it turns brown and dies. That means it wasn't pollinated. But hopefully these will take off in a little bit. So look at what happened to my onions. I was on my way to my best onion year ever. And this happened. We had a windstorm. We never got the rain with the storm, but we got the wind. And it blew some of them over, and then I think this is done by, it's got to be raccoons. It's the only thing that's big enough that I can think of that would come in here and knock all these over. My dogs can't get in here, so it wasn't the dogs. But something has come in here and knocked everything over, which really gets me mad. because I was really gonna have a good onion year. You can see here I've got some decent sized onions. See in there? And now they're just all gonna die. It's just, I am cursed when it comes to onions. Cucumbers. So most of what you're seeing here is a pickling cucumber. Oops, I see one I missed. Do you ever do this where you go around and all of a sudden you've missed one? The pickling cucumbers have done really well. You can see I've treated these, so now they're turning brown, but there's some kind of fungus. And a couple other channels that I watch have had the same fungus. And I treated them with hydrogen peroxide and baking soda. Not at the same time. I treated hydrogen peroxide one day, and then I did baking soda a couple days later, and that seems to have stopped it. But I think this patch of cucumbers is going to be kind of a loss. I'll just get what I get, and then I'll be done with them. This is a cantaloupe in here. I've got a couple good sized melons on here. There's one there. There's one there. This is what I call my Italian cantaloupe. And then next to that is the trombata squash. I've replanted cucumbers. So we'll see how these do. So I can get another round of cucumbers once these ones down here all die off. So here are my cabbages. These are mini cabbages, by the way. So they get to be about the size of a softball. This one is just about ready. It's not quite the size of a softball, but it's about ready to be picked. And for me, that's the perfect size cabbage. I chop it up, put it in a salad. So good. And then these over here are called 0.1 cabbages, and they are conical shaped. So they are doing pretty well. I mean, you can see they've got cabbage worms that are eating them. But other than that, they're doing fine. So here are my tomatoes. I have a lot of tomatoes. I have 3 rows of tomatoes. And they're all doing pretty well. They are growing really well, and the smaller tomatoes are all ripe. They're getting ripe already. The bigger tomatoes are just starting to turn to their ripe colors. So I'm going to take you around and point out a few things that I've noticed. First tomato to get ripe in the garden was this sweet pea currant. These are my favorite tomatoes. They are perfect to throw in a salad. They're pea-sized and the perfect combination of sugar and acid. They're really, really good. So, as you can see, there are a ton of these little tomatoes on here. Just a ton. And this plant is doing really well. Next to them is a plant called Fireworks. It's got this tip on the bottom of it. This one's ready to be picked. So for those of you who are new gardeners, how do you tell if a tomato is ripe? First of all, is it the color it's supposed to be? So is a red tomato red, is a pink tomato pink, orange tomato orange, etc. And then, does it give to gentle pressure on from your fingers? It should be ripe. Like if you push these don't give as much as this one gives. That's how you tell if a tomato is ripe. So Fireworks doing very well. The first ripe tomato in the garden was this one, which is clear pink early. It looks like I need to spice that up. It's just a little salad style tomato. I've already picked all the ripe ones and eaten them. Very, very good. Very good tomato taste. This is called Precious Pink Hybrid. I want to pick it because it's ready. I'm getting a little cracking on the top with this one, but otherwise it's a beautiful dark pink color. That plant has quite a few on it. Once I take this ripe one off, it'll help these other ones ripen up. So this was the second regular sized tomato to ripen. As far as cherry tomatoes, this is Jasper here. Last year this plant was about, a third of the size smaller. These are really good. A little sweeter than the sweet pea currant, but again, almost a perfect combination of sweetness and acid. Really good eating tomatoes. As a matter of fact, most of these that are ripe don't make it into the house. That's how good they are. Yummy. So you can see this plant. You're right at my head here, so I'm 5'4". It goes all the way up to this trellis. So that is working very well. Another one that's really good. This is called Galenus cherry. This is a potato leaf plant. Yellow, about the same size as the Jasper. Maybe a little bigger. Perfect. Again, these aren't as sweet as the Jasper, but they're like the perfect combination of sweet and acid. Really, really good. And you can see the leaves here. Potato leaf versus a typical tomato. Different. These are really good, very prolific. I got to tell you though, these ones did not enjoy being sprayed with baking soda. They didn't mind the hydrogen peroxide, but they did not like being sprayed with baking soda. So, but they're recovering quite nicely. Yeah, these are a little more acidic than Jasper. Another tomato plant that's very prolific is this Juliet. This is All American Selections Juliet tomatoes. They are, I thought they were a grape tomato, but they are a combination of a grape and a paste tomato. So they're not real juicy. They're very meaty, but they're smaller than your typical paste tomato. A typical paste tomato would take up most of my hand. So you can see we have some really nice tomatoes on here. Big clusters of tomatoes. Like this whole thing is a cluster of tomatoes. I thought I'd show you this from the other side so you can see how big that is. And it goes all the way up the plant. Again, this one goes up and over this trellis. Nice big plant. I'm glad I put it on this trellis and not one of the shorter ones. So I've had a couple problems this year. The first one, aren't these big beautiful beefsteak tomatoes? Look at that. Nice size. These are supposed to be ox hearts, and they're not. Now, most of the seeds I planted were from Tomato Grower Supply, and I've never had a problem with them. But these are not Oxheart tomatoes. However, if you look at this plant, now where is that? Here. This is also the same. This is called German Strawberry Oxheart Tomato. This one is Oxheart shaped. But the rest of them, look at this one. That is not an Oxheart tomato. That is a beefsteak tomato. So, a German strawberry Oxheart tomato is heart-shaped, like it's actual heart-shaped, not like Valentine heart-shaped. And it is a red tomato with green shoulders. And this is not. This is going to be one big, beautiful tomato. Just think of the tomato sandwich you can make with that one. So I'm really disappointed that my Oxheart tomatoes are beefsteaks, because I love Oxheart tomatoes. Now, I've got an orange Oxheart here. These are an orange Oxheart tomato. The shape is better. A little more like an Oxheart tomato. But then you go down here further on the plant, that's a beefsteak. This one has blossom end rot on it. This one is a little more Oxheart shaped. So, I don't know what to think. I'm thinking I just got seeds that were labeled wrong. Here's one little one. That's Oxheart shape. Which really disappoints me because I love Oxheart tomatoes. How many times can you say Oxheart in a video? Let's see. This is my other disappointment. Beautiful tomatoes. Yes. Beautiful tomatoes, nice size. Nice prolific plant. This is supposed to be a black grape tomato. So I don't know what happened there. Black Pearl it's called. I'll have to check. Maybe I got my, like in my mind, the Black Pearl is supposed to be a grape tomato. I thought it was, but I will check the seed packet and see what they say. It'll be interesting to see if these are black. But it's doing very well. It's a very nice plant, but it definitely is not a grape tomato. So I found the seed packet for these. This is supposed to be black pear. And I don't know if you can read that. But what it says on here is it's supposed to be 4 to 6 ounce fruit, potato leaf. And this is not a potato leaf. This is a potato leaf. So either I got the seed mixed up or they got the seed mixed up. We'll see what happens. Either way, it's a good looking tomato. We'll see what color it comes out. I thought maybe it was these. Carbon. It kind of looks like them. It could be. It says this is among the darkest of the black tomatoes that we've seen. Medium to large 8 to 12 ounce tomatoes are flattened, round, and smooth. So we'll see. Maybe the manufacturer got it mixed up. So this is what a German red strawberry Oxheart is supposed to look like. This is not a German red strawberry Oxheart. Average 10 ounces, but can grow to 1 pound or more. Yeah, that's not that. And here's the orange one. You can see this one here looks like kind of like a beefsteak. So this one might actually be an orange ox heart now that I look at it. Because if you look at that and then you look at that, it kind of looks like it. So this is 10 to 12 ounce heart-shaped meaty fruit. We'll see. So I'm all sweaty because it's hot outside. So I don't know what I'm going to do about the tomato taste test. Most of these tomatoes look like they're supposed to look, but those few that I have that aren't what they were labeled as, I know I didn't get the labels mixed up. I was so careful because I know that I'm known for my tomato taste test, and I really, you know, I'm careful. Like, I put them on my dining room table before I taste them and have post-it notes on them, and, you know, keep them all separate just so I don't ever get them mixed up, because I don't want to give you a review of a tomato that isn't actually the tomato. However, I know that tomatoes can vary by year. You know, the tomatoes I've grown and haven't liked, people have said, oh, those are my favorite tomatoes I've ever grown. So it'll be really interesting to see. I'll probably still do a tomato taste test, but, you know, I'm just going to have to put an asterisk at the end saying, you know, this is what the packet said and this is what came out of the packet, and that's the way it is. So we'll see what happens. I do have to say that growing beefsteak tomatoes is very satisfying. I mean, look how beautiful these tomatoes are. This one here is called Beauty. Isn't it a beauty? That plant is very short. It's probably 4 feet tall, and it's got, you know, 10 beefsteak tomatoes on it this size. It's just amazing. So as far as blight goes, one of the advantages of having a really dry summer is I haven't been attacked by blight, except for this plant. And this might be something else. Doesn't really look like blight. This is a German strawberry ox heart, you know, ox heart. And it also did not like being sprayed with baking soda spray. But whatever was growing on it has stopped. And so far we're doing really well. Even though it's really humid out, you can see there's not like hardly any disease on these plants. This is the one that didn't like the baking soda spray. But for the most part, they look really good. Now, I've sprayed them a couple times as preventative. And I'll keep my fingers crossed. Usually, blight shows up the first week of August, which is, you know, just a really bad time for me. So we'll see what happens. This is something I don't show very often. These are my overwintered peppers. You probably wondered what happened to them. Well, I did bring them outside and they are growing. They look all wilted now. They're not wilted because they don't have water. They're wilted because of the heat. But, you know, I don't think I will ever do this again because the plants are just odd. They're just really odd. Now this one happens to have a ripe pepper on it. But the peppers are really small. It could be because it's really dry again. A lot of misshapen peppers. This jalapeno here is a notapeno, basically. It's got a different name, but that's what it is. It's doing okay. It recovered really well. I was going to throw this plant out because I thought it had died. It just did not like being in the house. but it's recovered very well. This one is called Suave Orange. It's a hot pepper. It has recovered very well. This one, see how close the leaves are together? This is a no heat habanero. It's got a lot of fruit on it. This one is a California Wonder. It's getting peppers on it, but they're all really tiny. And again, these probably, it should have been put in a bigger pot, but they were doing so poorly that I didn't want to waste the pot space. So what I'm going to end up doing is, once I harvest my potatoes, I'm going to put some of these peppers in the pots that the potatoes are in, and they can finish out the season in the potato pots. And they should be fine in those big pots. Look at these strawberry flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? So it looks like these strawberries are ever bearing. These are called Berry Treasured Red. I'm hoping to get some runners off of them so I can double or triple how many plants I have. Excellent strawberries on here. Really prolific plants. The strawberries are small, probably about that big, but they're really sweet. Now my girlfriend has the same exact strawberry plants, and she said hers were tart. So I don't know what she did different, but mine are really, really good. I just stand here and eat them off the plants. But yeah, I'm just loving the colored flowers on here. I think they're just so beautiful. So I'm definitely going to propagate these for more strawberry plants. So I decided to sit here in the shade of my cherry tomato plants. See, our summers are getting worse and worse as far as the rain is considered and the heat, and it's getting harder and harder for me to keep up with this garden. So this is going to be the last year that I'm going to have a garden this size. Next year it's going to be much smaller. I'm going to make sure that everything I have is on irrigation, whether it's flowers or vegetables, because you can't, right now it's really difficult to grow a garden if it's not on irrigation. I'm going to end up redoing my irrigation, and I do have drip lines, but I want to put drip tape in because that will give more water to the tomatoes and the peppers, and do some more of the dribbler things. I'll put a picture of the dribbler in here so you can see what it does. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's getting to the point where it's costing me more money to have a garden than it is to go to the farmer's market and buy this stuff from the farmers, you know, and let them pay the water bills for this. My water bill has doubled every month from the irrigation, and that gets expensive. So I can buy a lot of stuff at the farmer's market for what I'm paying for water. And in the next couple of years, our water bills are going to triple. That's the estimate. So I don't really want to be paying that much money to grow these vegetables. Yeah, we're near Milwaukee, and we're switching over from city water to Lake Michigan water, and so they're putting in all the lines right now as we speak, and that's going to give us better quality water, but it's going to be a lot more expensive. So I'm not going to be able to have a garden of this size every year. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy it this year, and then next year it will be something completely different. So that'll be about it. Just a quick garden tour for you. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments section below. Also, let me know how your gardens are doing, and if you're getting rain, too much rain, not enough rain, just the right amount of rain, let me know. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and until next time, happy gardening. Bye-bye.